Welcome to the Social Media Takeaway. I'm your host, Louise McDonald, and today I'm speaking to Mary McHugh, an award-winning psychotherapist and the founder of counsellingonline.ie, a pioneering global counselling service. Today, Mary shares her insights on normalizing therapy, the impact of COVID-19 on our mental health, and why she believes every single person needs therapy. Hi, Mary. Mary McHugh, you're very welcome to the show. Mary is an award-winning psychotherapist with over 20 years' experience in the counselling field. Mary has worked with the Irish Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, CURA, which is the Irish Crisis Pregnancy Counselling Service, Mayo Support Services, the Irish Carers Association, and the Mayo Rape Crisis Centre. And she is also the founder of counsellingonline.ie, which is a nationwide service.
Worldwide.
A worldwide apology.
Worldwide global service. Yeah, global service.
Oh, wow. And you never went to the .com.
No, we didn't. No, we're Irish in the global world. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Mary,
Yeah.
you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Louise, for having me. It's just so lovely. And when I hear that, I suppose it seems like so long ago that I would have been involved in all of these organizations. I suppose after I'd have finished my training and, so just to hear the names and to go back in my head to the places, it's just lovely. Yeah.
Oh, tell us about your journey, Mary.
Wow. So I'm probably over 20 years as a psychotherapist. So it's quite a long time. And even more if I go further back, I'd done a 2-year foundation course with the lovely Jean Farrell. I don't know what you've ever heard of Jean Farrell, beautiful lady, a wild, lovely lady, wild in a beautiful way. So she was doing it through the Maynooth University, and it was actually in Castlebar in Mayo. And so I'd done 2 years with her. My children were tiny at that stage. So my youngest is now, he'll be 30 next birthday. So that lets you know 25 plus years ago, I would have done that. And so from there, I suppose I've always had an interest and it's just, I suppose vocation is the word for it, to support and to help people. And I think, when I went to school, I wanted to do social care, but life took over and it just didn't happen. I had an accident and that didn't happen. And I ended up then getting married very young. I was 19 when I got married. And from that, it just went into marriage, I suppose. The marriage broke down after 6 years. I was pregnant with my third child. I was about 25 at that stage. And I suppose my focus then was really on raising my kids and that in itself, was really hard financially. Lots of ways it was hard. But I slowly got myself going and started working maybe part-time. I ended up working for Super Value. I would take care of all of sort of the pricing and all that sort of stuff for them. And so with that and saving up money to go to college and study psychotherapy is a huge investment, So I worked very hard, got my studies and got qualified. And from there, Louise, I suppose I haven't stopped since, and it's been, just a great journey, a really great journey of being with people. Um, and that was how I began, I suppose, and that was my road. So as I said, my youngest now is 29, coming 30. I have 4 grandchildren, and it's just like, we have, everything has its ups and downs, as in life. We all do as human beings, and it's just great to be in the ups and to go through the downs and back ups again, and that's life. So I suppose my biggest thing is to normalize struggle. And I suppose I know it in a lot of ways from the inside out. And that, I suppose, is a gift, when sitting with somebody else.
So tell us about counsellingonline.ie.
So, Louise, we went totally against everything to set up counsellingonline.ie. We'll be 13 years old in July. And so if you can think back to 13 years ago, doing something remotely was unheard of, and particularly in the field of therapy. We knew without a shadow of a doubt, myself and my colleague, Danica Monk, who set it up, both of us came together to set it up. And we set it up because we knew there were people that were really struggling with all sorts. And even anybody listening to this could have maybe a teenager stuck in the room, maybe a partner stuck in their room. The anxiety can be so high, or they may have a disability, that they might find it really hard to go into an office and sit with somebody face to face, or because of their profession, they don't want to be seen knocking on the door of a place that is for therapy. Because unfortunately, we still have a huge stigma around therapy, and we need to change that for all of our sakes. We need to change that. We all need therapy, everybody. It's the greatest gift that we can give ourselves, to be fair. So in 2011, we have accrediting bodies that keeps everything, safe. But we knew that they would not be in favor of what we were doing. And yet we felt obligated to reach people who weren't being met. So we went against the grain of everything and took a huge risk. And as I said to you, I was a lone parent with 3 children. For me, it was a huge risk of my career, but I had to balance it with my felt ethical obligation to human beings, that actually they needed to be met. And so we set it up, but the only way you would find us, and not many people were really on the internet too much 13 years ago, but the only way you would find us is if you were Googling specifically for counselling online. So, so you found us there. So about 2015, 16 maybe, we really were able to put our shoulders back, and we had evidence base to show that what we were doing was really working for people. And that gave us courage and confidence to actually hold our head up and say, yes, we are doing it. Okay. So even our peers would have tutted what we were doing. So we had a lot of it was really difficult, I suppose, for us, but we knew from the work we were doing that people were, it was really helping. And so from there, then I suppose roll it on to COVID. So COVID then hit, and suddenly every therapist was in turmoil because they had people, all over the place, and they couldn't see them. Um, and they had no option but to go online, and they were bowled over. They couldn't believe that it worked as well as it did. And that's it. So we are, I suppose, there's a team of 30 therapists now working with counselling online. And as you said at the beginning, all over Ireland. No, we have been in Japan, Dubai, Australia, all over the world. You can name a country, and we've been in there since 2011 because they were the most people that were contacting us, our young people and our people that had immigrated, that were looking for a familiar voice that culturally got them.
Oh, wow.
So anybody listening that has family all over the world, please let them know about us. And I always say, Louise, we're a heart business. We built from a place of heart and just that want to support whoever needs support in however way, whatever way. So you don't have to talk, you don't have to be seen like we are. You can type, because some people are that anxious they can't handle the sound of their own voice, let alone to see themselves. So it's very complex, but we do the very best that we can to meet them for whatever the reason is.
And really, it was such a blessing in disguise that you took that leap 13 years ago because, like, I know what I do is totally different to you, but I had already been training online before the pandemic. It just meant that there was demand. There was way more demand than there ever had been. But you don't realize at that stage, and you probably mightn't have realized the skills that your team had built up by already have been used to deliver an experience online, because it is different. You do need to connect with people in a slightly different way. So I just think it was a total blessing in disguise because you were there ready to roll and ready to
Oh,
help
absolutely.
people. And you were so good during the pandemic. You used to go live every single day. I used to feature you in all my training courses. I'm like,
Okay.
here, look, this is how you actually just don't
Yeah,
tell people what you do. Just do it for them. Here's these
absolutely.
people doing it live on their social media.
Yeah. And we really, because I suppose we knew, because we were doing the work, but there were lots of people who were in the process of working face to face with therapists, and they were left. And I thought, oh my gosh, how do we reach them? Just to hold the space for them. And that's what I went doing, was sort of, we'd go on and we'd do loving kindness, we do talks, and we also then done training for therapists, free of charge, to therapists around the country. We opened up our service to give them a teaching and just the basic skills in how to hold somebody online. It's further proof that that's what we're about. We want to let people know We're here. We want to be a household name. Should people ever want to use us? And it's not that they, may use us, but they may know somebody who, do you know what? I listened to whoever, Mary talk and to know our story. And actually, I suppose what has happened now is there's lots of businesses that have came now up since COVID that actually at the helm, there may be, they're business people, which I have had to become, but my grounding is in psychotherapy. And so it's from the inside out we get people. We're not a business person setting up an online counseling because we think it's lucrative. It actually isn't. That's the truth. It's a vocation of supporting, but in order for it to work, we've had to build a business around it.
Well, as long as I've known you, I've only ever known Mary to be just the best, nicest, good person, like, and wanting to help people. So I can totally second that.
Thank
Fr-
you.
From your experience then of running
Yeah.
counsellingonline.ie, how do you think the pandemic has affected our lives?
Both positive and negative. In a very positive way, it has opened up the world of online for the likes of people accessing support. So that has been one really great piece. I was watching, it was on Player. I didn't get to watch the Botox thing. So, we have all these lines and wrinkles and, all of this sort of stuff going on. And that part is really sad because how lucky am I to have all these lines, to get to a stage in my life that actually I have all these lines and wrinkles and it is who, it's that's what makes me. But we have become so self-conscious and we see ourselves up close and we can have an issue with that. So that may be one of the things that I would see um as a downside since the pandemic and particularly for our young people.
Mm.
There's been a lot in the media about these skincare products and I'm a girly girl. I love my lipstick, I love my nails, I love all that sort of stuff. But it is when our young people are looking for this sort of stuff that actually is damaging that beautiful outer layer of their lovely skin. So that's one thing. The other thing is that there is since COVID, there's no off time for a lot of people.
Mm.
You are constantly checking, so it really has become an addiction. Our phones is the new addiction, and it is quite a serious addiction. It is messing with the pathways in our brain. And with that, there's more access. So again, I worry. I see it in my work every day. I see it with what goes on actually in our world. So the brains are being impacted by what the visual images that are being imprinted and that they can't erase what they're seeing. So look, it is as it is, but it is, I suppose, the onus really is on parental control, really, and that's easy said, but I think there's new stuff coming up. There's a lady, and I can't think of her name, but she's actually doing great work around minding the internet for our young people. So that I think I've gone off topic a bit, but that would be one of the things that's, I suppose COVID has really highlighted the constant on our phones. And maybe we're telling children not to be on our phones, but monkey see, monkey do. We can't because we're on them.
This is so true. This is so true. Okay, then what about the move towards remote working? Are you seeing that? What impact is that having on mental health?
So one person, it can really isolate them. Again, our phones are preventing eye contact.
Mm.
Okay, so our screens, so if we're on Zoom meetings all the time, all of that is affecting us. We have our Just for Eat, all these crowds that we can dial our shopping, pick it up. We don't have to talk to anybody. And the more we don't exercise that muscle of connection and relationship, the harder it is to do that. And the more isolated we become. And we can only survive really through relationships. So actually it's so bad for our health not to be connecting. And that is one of the downsides of remote working. So if you can, and I think you swim and so if you can put in these things that actually I meet a few people. So every morning I'm swimming. I haven't swam now this week, but every morning that 7:45 in the morning there is two of us and we go for our swim, we connect, or if we wait till 8 o'clock there's another five or six there, but usually my day starts so I'm back and ready for work. but it's that. Join a choir like you would do the singing. These are the things, a gardening club. Find things in your area. Great, do the remote work because it can, for some it's great. For others, they absolutely hate it, and maybe, they've been forced into remote working. So there's lots of different things about it. But again, the only person that can change and make it the best is you.
Mm.
So the onus is on yourself to set a structure and routine, because when we're sort of, we can be sitting here with our pajamas on, from the bottom, or whatever, nothing on from the bottom.
Oh, God.
So and that's the reality. There's something about getting up, getting dressed, and starting your day.
I work remotely most of the time, but during the
Yeah.
pandemic, when I'd be coming down to do my training, I'd certainly be nicely dressed. I'd have my
Yes.
makeup on, have my
Yeah,
hair
yeah,
done,
yeah.
and I'd have my perfume on.
Yes,
And
me
and
as well.
my husband used to say to me, "Why
Amazing.
are you putting on the perfume?" I said, "Because it's for me. It's
There, I'm exactly the same. I love my perfume, and I put it on for me. I only said that yesterday.
then, I feel good, you know."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's so important, because it's very easy for that muscle of, I suppose, depression to move in, because, it's that we just become lethargic. It's like you haven't then time to make a dinner, and you'll sit and you'll be picking, and you'll go and you'll pick and you'll pick, and so structure is so important for us for our day.
So, okay, so just to recap on that, advice for anyone working remotely or advice for anyone who's not feeling well in general, I suppose,
Yeah,
is human connection is vitally important.
bye.
Go find something to do, whether it's a swim, a walk, a sing. Singing is very good. Or, playing cards, yoga, meet
Yeah,
people. And okay, that's number one. Two, put a bit of
mhm,
structure in your life. Three, show up, I suppose,
yeah.
don't put on
Lipstick.
the perfume and the lipstick.
Because this time of year is just such a beautiful time of year. And, for anybody that would even just take a new hobby like gardening, and it doesn't have to be, it can be a crate, fill it with soil, put a few seeds into it. And again, that's giving you a purpose, that nurturing that seed, that watching it, and you watch it grow and grow and grow. And I have to say, I suppose this is my third year doing my vegetables, and there is nothing nicer to sit at the table with your spring onions, your beetroot, these things that actually I've grown myself. And it's that
Mhm.
sense of accomplishment. We sort of need that. And it drives us then, because we see a result from something. So a hobby like that, or, I have lots of different kinds of hobbies, from crochet to whittling with wood. I love just to whittle with wood with a knife. Anything that gives us, I suppose, purpose or joy. Joy, I suppose.
Yeah, I know. I grow flowers, and when they come out, like when I'm driving around the house, I'm admiring them every single time.
Absolutely.
It's like,
They're your babies.
oh look, they're so beautiful. I did that.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, and then the other bit of advice that you mentioned earlier on, just to bring it in, is to limit your screen time. If you're going to tell your kids to limit their screen time, maybe we should all limit our screen time.
Yeah, yeah, because there's that feeling as well, Louise, that actually we're on demand, and we're not. It's all in our heads. You
Mm.
put your phone away for 2 hours, the world isn't going to fall away. And hands up, I suppose, because I run a business, that is my business,
Yeah.
and it's like I have to very consciously, and I don't always. So hands up. And again, that's the part that we're all human. I have to work really hard, and I don't get it right 80% of the time. But there are times that I say no, down. And the world hasn't fell apart while I've put it down. But it's probably a fear, you're on demand.
And I suppose the other piece of advice that you would give would be to reach out and get help.
Absolutely. Well, as I said to you earlier, and again, it's not selling counseling online at all. It's
Mm.
however you do it. And it's the greatest gift. And people think that you have to be in the direst of straits to go for counseling. Actually, it's such a gift to finding out who you are, because we're so busy doing stuff outside of ourselves that actually, who the hell am I? Hey, I'm a business owner, I'm whatever, I'm a mother, I'm a father, but actually, who am I? What makes me tick? Why are these things always happening that I'm back here at the same shit? And it's that, because we all have that. The same scenario tends to happen over and over again. And that's where counseling comes in. It's like it gets you to look at everything, open it up, and you begin to see. And then you begin to make the changes. And life transforms for us. We find joy. We're able to lean into the uncomfortable, because what we do, if something is uncomfortable for us, we reach for a drink, we reach for the phone, we reach for food, where actually that's all things outside of ourselves. Whereas if we reach within, it will begin to tell us. The body is very wise, and it starts to tell us. And I always say, if you don't listen, it will drag you down, whether that's through panic attack, through addiction, through depression, anxiety. It pulls you right down. And they're actually gifts, even though you think they're the awfulest thing in the world. Our mental health struggles are gifts from the body for you to come home and take notice. And if you don't take notice, I tell you, it will scream louder. And that's when we're in trouble.
Okay. And so on average, like people that go for counseling, do they have how many sessions, or is that a silly question, or how does it work?
It's a very, very silly question. Sorry, and I don't mean it like that, because I couldn't answer you.
Yeah, it depends
Uh,
obviously on the person.
I
Yeah.
have, and again, I have one person, I'd say I have her about 5 years. This girl would have, working through her career, working through her relationships, and it's evolving. The way we have people in our lives, but we have stuff that we sort of need to say that we can't say to anybody else. And it's to have that place that actually I can put all of this stuff out here, and somebody holds it for me and really hears it. But the average would be about 6 to 10
Okay.
appointments, because it takes time, Louise. Again, when I would go, say if I was to go to you for therapy and I'd never met you before, well, understandably, my back is going to be up, and then depending then how the relationship is going, whether I feel, oh God, you know what, she's lovely, I feel, and then the shoulders start to come down, and then the body starts to relax. Even stuff that we don't even think is an issue starts to show itself, so that takes a few weeks for that connection to be made, and then the work, and then the integration, and then the flying off.
You probably would argue as well that it's something that it's like you go get your hair done every however often. You
Absolutely.
go, you look after, your nails, you get your nails done,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And should you just have a regular counseling
Well,
session just
you have to be mindful. So because the lady that I've said is 5 years, trauma's huge. Okay. So can be really, really, really slow work, and it needs to be, in order to get that person to a place where they feel safe enough. While I say 5 years, that's working with somebody that would have experienced real trauma. So say our appointments are 70 euros. That's what our appointments is. So you go and you get a facial. I don't know anything. I don't know. I don't get facials. I don't go to hairdressers. I don't get facials. I'm lucky I have, nails that grow naturally. So I'm lucky in lots of ways. But I've no idea. Probably a facial is about 70 to 150 euros.
Yeah, I'd say about
That
right.
would be to get your hair washed and done. I've no idea. And some people will do that, every week. And, again, if that's your therapy, great. Do you know, it's like whatever works for you. And my mother would always say, you should be out digging the garden. That's good therapy for you. And it is. So again, I'm not pushing counseling online, but for you to do a real introspection on who I am, what a gift. What a gift.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to the subject of AI. So, okay, so a bit of an intro here. So, ChatGPT 3.5
Yes.
had an IQ apparently of about 89. Okay, so to put this into context, Einstein has had an IQ of 160. And within the matter of a few months, through not much, it taught itself basically.
Mhm, mhm.
ChatGPT got 10 times smarter. ChatGPT 4 has an IQ currently of 159. So that's nearly as smart as Einstein. So what they're saying is that the next generation of ChatGPT, which is ChatGPT 5 or whatever that will be, and
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
coming possibly in a few months,
Yeah.
that they anticipate that it will have an IQ of like 1600, 10 times smarter than the
Yeah.
smartest person that's walked the planet.
Yes.
I don't know where this is going to go because like the AI are just going to be so much smarter than us.
Yes.
So do you see it? Where do you see that kind of
I suppose
working, playing
it's
out in your career?
scary. It's quite scary for our world. Very scary for our world and what's out there for our young people, thinking of going into careers, that actually is going to be obsolete. Everything is going to be obsolete. But at the end of the day, I feel, and I said it to you earlier, the relationship is key. There's great things maybe coming out of AI and I suppose just in the world of maybe counseling and psychotherapy, absolutely it's going to impact. And I don't see that as a bad thing because I suppose at the heart of what I'm about is us really helping ourselves to the very best of our ability. And if it is a thing that I can get like a cognitive course that's actually going to help me cognitively break some of the patterns of behavior that's going on in my life, and that can be done through AI, but what it's doing, it's isolating us because the relationship and the human side, and and who knows, they may become very human like in their answers. And I suppose what is and we walk every step along the way and see where we go with that and what happens. And that it. It's scary, it's exciting. So it has both.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's coming, so
Yeah.
the genie's out of the box, so we just have to go with it, whatever it's going to
Yeah.
be. But I think it probably goes back to what you said earlier on that the human connection possibly becomes even more important than ever.
Yes, this wave of isolation that has came with since COVID, that we had to stay home and come home. And a lot of that, I seen that as very symbolic, that actually we were so outside of ourselves that we needed to come home here to ourselves. But what it has done because of social media and all of that, like if social media wasn't in it, it might be a whole different way of life now post COVID, as opposed to now, because there was so much exposure on social media. But what it has done, it has isolated and caused huge confidence issues for everybody post COVID, because we're all going through transition periods. But for the likes of the children that went from sixth class into first year, the ones that went from Leaving Cert into first year in college, from 16 to 18, when they're starting to get out into the world and have fun and fly their wings, and they were curtailed. For the mother that was pregnant during COVID, my own daughter, it was horrific, what went on. So all of that, the people that lost people during COVID, that the damage is only just starting to show its head now of the impact that it has had on us, and will continue to do so, because there are people who just won't leave their house now. They're picking up their collect on shopping, food. Obesity is becoming a huge issue. So there's a lot.
So even if the machines have an IQ of 1600, we still need human touch. And
I have,
the
yeah,
pandemic has demonstrated that in spades. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay, what advice would you give your younger self? You can choose what age you're going to go to in your head.
I suppose to have done more work earlier, maybe on self-esteem, confidence, who I am. I suppose if I was to have a wish for her, that it would have been the norm to build our self-esteem and confidence, that we're able to go out into the world and with our heads up, because I think our Irishness keeps us, that bit sort of down, and don't dare put your head up. And that would be a big thing, So even though you're successful in business, a wish for me would have been that actually we would have been really supported to be the very best that we could, not in an ego sense, but just in the best, to develop the best of us that we could.
And what a lovely message to end on International Women's Day. That's such
Yes.
a lovely message. A lovely message. So we're recording this on International Women's Day. A lovely message to everybody, to
Yeah, and
lift up your head.
that's it. And I know on my Instagram today, I put up a post that behind every woman, there are great men, you
Oh,
know, and it's to really acknowledge as well. I think our men sometimes don't get acknowledged. We have a lot for us women. The men, whether it's in business and life, they're also so important too, and need to be nurtured, because that as well, it can be hard in this world being a man too, as it
because
is for a woman.
I think it can just be hard. So, Mary, how can people find you? Apart from your website, what about social media? Where can they find you?
Okay, I'm going to laugh now, Louise, because I just say I'm the oldest swinger on TikTok. So I'm on TikTok at counsellingonline.ie. I'm on Instagram at counsellingonline. We're on LinkedIn under my name and Irish Online Counselling, on Facebook as well. So we have a huge reach. What we find is that people don't like or comment on our posts. And I suppose what I'd be looking, anybody listening, just play your part in breaking the stigma of mental health and clicking like of anybody's mental health post, because what you're doing is you're saying it's okay, and it is okay. That's the thing, it is okay. So every Tuesday night, what we have on Instagram and LinkedIn, we have it on all our platforms, is an Ask the Therapist section. So there's two therapists, because I want people to see who the therapists are that work within Counselling Online. So you get a feel of the therapist. They're talking to me, and maybe they'll go on their own, two of them on their own at some stage. But we get questions sent in privately to our social media boxes, and we answer them online. And if anybody has any questions about anything, we will do our very best to answer them. So that's proven to go really well. We talk on all topics: depression, addiction, grief, ADHD, spectrum, so whatever it is that's going on for somebody, body issues, family issues, relationship difficulties, all of that.
Brilliant. So every Tuesday,
Every
ask the
Tuesday, 8
expert,
p.m., ask the therapist. Yeah.
ask the therapist, and normalizing mental health. I was just, saying earlier on, I have a friend in the States who's constantly talking about her therapist, her therapist, her therapist. And I'm like, gosh, wow. you
Yeah.
know,
But isn't that so great? Because, if you were to go to the dentist, if your teeth were bothering you, you'd go to the dentist, you wouldn't think about it. If your foot was bothering you, you'd go to the physio. So if your mind and your thinking is bothering you, it's another part of your body. You go and you get it looked at. And we need to normalize it. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mary. And there's so much in that. To anyone who's listening who feels they might need some support, or even if they know somebody who they think may need support, whether they're in Ireland or anywhere in the world, counsellingonline.ie for your little bit of Irish support.
Yes.
You don't
Yeah.
even have to talk, you can type if you don't want to show up in person. I think that's fabulous. So it's wonderful. She was there way before the pandemic. She took the chance. She went out on a limb. She went against the grain. She did it. And I think we're all benefiting from it. So thank you so much, Mary. You're an
And
inspiration.
thank you, Louise. Thank you so much for doing your part, you know, putting out about mental health, because it's so great. And I'm so delighted that you asked me to come on, because I love an opportunity to talk about normalizing mental health. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for listening to the Social Media Takeaway podcast. If you loved this episode and want deeper support with your marketing, head over to sellonsocialmedia.academy/hello.